Hey, it's Rob from Buttendz. Thanks for joining me today on the Buttendz YouTube channel where we talk about life, we talk about hockey, and we talk about life as a hockey player. I know this COVID-19 is keeping us all at home, so let's stay connected. Today we're going to talk about taking ownership of your hockey career, improving your relationship with your coach, and how to get more ice time. Hope you enjoy. I definitely had moments. I think like when I was a kid that I remember where I had to confront coaches and ask for explanations of things and try to push you know voice like that. I felt like I should have been, I deserved maybe more playing time or more opportunity in the lineup. It started for me at a younger age. I think my father pushed me into that role a little bit. Like he wasn't the kind of dad who was going to call the coach for me. He got me to the rink and put me in a position to be there. But my father was very hands off when it came to an active role as a parent, and it kind of forced me. He told me, like, if you want something, you got to go and ask the coach for it yourself. And he wasn't gonna like go in there and hold my hand. Essentially, he just got me there. And that was definitely something that helped me like coming up for sure. And it lasted my entire hockey career, my entire playing career, even up until like pro hockey, where I wasn't on the power play for a while, and I had to go into the coach's office, who was my boss, who literally controlled everything about my career, and I had to go and be like, "Hey, coach, like, why am I not on the power play? I think I deserve to be on the power play," and then like had to listen to him, either tell me that, uh, maybe why he didn't think I deserved to be out there, or sometimes I've had coaches be like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. Like, you should be on the power play. I just forgot." like, but just getting into that room and that kind of thing is something that I had to learn at an early age. And it's tough, and it was never easy, even all the way up into the point where my last year of hockey, where, every level you get to, obviously I know the feeling of a player, there's 20 guys in the room or something. And, nobody really wants to be the one that walks into that coach's room. And at least I didn't. And that's kind of where I was. You want your play to speak for itself. You want to be recognized for your game. I always wanted just to you walk into the room, you want your name to be on the board and the top of the list. You want to be on the power play because your game speaks for itself. Being going in there and asking and advocating for yourself is not a comfortable thing, I think, for players. But you learn that if you just let the game happen to you, and just like life, if you let life just happen to you, you kind of lose control, and nobody's going to be really looking out for you, like you know what I'm saying? So it's a fine line that you have to walk as a player, and I think it's good to learn that at an early age, and it's really tough when you're a kid, but you get a little bit more, I think you have a little bit more opportunity when you're a kid. Coaches will give you the benefit of the doubt because most kids are not going to go up to the coach and try to have that conversation. But it's good to hear, if you're playing for a guy and you're not getting ice time, to go up into his office or to say, "Hey, coach, can I have 2 minutes and just, maybe you can explain to me where I can improve in my game or what can I do?" And it seemed like every time I had those difficult conversations with the coach, the coach, it always seemed to kind of work out a little better. I always got a little bit more opportunity after that, and I took that all the way to my pro career, and it definitely helped me along the way, but it never was an easy thing to do. So I can understand why, kids might now hear that and be like, "Oh, what? I'm not going to do that," but then, you're at the mercy of, a coach has got, he's got a lot of things on his mind, and he doesn't really think about how you're feeling. He's thinking about his own thing. He's trying to win games, and he might not see exactly what you see. But I definitely had experiences where I've gone in and made my case for myself and been like, "Coach, I think I deserve this," or maybe you can explain to me why I don't deserve it. And a lot of times, not every time, but sometimes coach will be like, "You know what? Yeah, you should be out there for that. You're right. Maybe I missed it. We'll give it a shot, and things sometimes it worked out. Not every time, but just like anything, you got to keep putting your foot back in the water, and that hockey's a competitive game. You got everybody else in that locker room wants to be on the power play. Everybody else in that locker room wants to be on the in the lineup, and something that you can definitely get good at. It's just a skill, and it's advocating for yourself, because you got to learn pretty quickly that, again, nobody cares about you like you do, and everyone's got their own agenda. So that's something that I would definitely encourage young players to do, is try to establish a good relationship with with their coach, and make sure that you're advocating for yourself. And with that, you obviously have to you have to take responsibility and you have to be making sure that you're putting on the effort. Because if if you're slacking off and if your game's not tight and if you're not playing well, you can expect to have your coach, tell you, sorry, man, this is why you're not playing. And, I think you're not playing well right now. And you have to be ready to accept that as well. So you take ownership for your game. And, if you do that, you'll definitely, you'll see some success from it. So, like I mentioned, up until the very end of my career, like I probably could have done a better job of it. Like as I got to the higher level, like to be honest, like when I got up into the American League level, it doesn't get easier as you get older. You know what I'm saying? Like every level you get to, coaches become that much more prominent and well known, and their egos are much bigger. And every year and every level that you step up in hockey, these conversations become tougher and tougher. So when you're a peewee or when you're a squirt or a bantam and you're playing in the youth hockey leagues, like these are great times for you to work on this. And this is a skill like anything. And this can carry you into life, having the difficult conversation with the coach. Maybe later on in life, you're not playing hockey anymore, but that experience of hockey and that experience of going in and talking to your superior, the guy that controls your ice time. And it's pretty much in control of like your success or failure. Having the conversation with him and practicing that as a young player coming up, it'll definitely help you later, in your career in whatever it is that you're doing. But even in my own life, I look back and, I wish I had done more of that, even at the higher level. Like I remember in college, I would do it. And then, I did it in the East Coast Hockey League when I got, a little bit more comfortable with my surroundings. If I felt like I needed more ice time or if I felt like I deserved more than I was getting. But I think I got to the American League. I would get called up. I'd be a new guy in the room. I'd be nervous around everybody because like you didn't really know anybody. And, that conversation was even more intimidating then. So it just, it doesn't get easier, but having the practice and the skill and the ability to just walk into a strange locker room and just be, that kind of thing is definitely important if you want to play at the high level of hockey for sure. Especially if you're not, and most players are not superstars. Most players are, they got to work and they got to grind just to get to that level. And that's how most players are. And, that's just one more tool in your toolbox. If you can, be confident and you can go in and you can have these hard discussions. And, you have to learn how to take criticism as well. Because if you put it out there, you can just sit in the room and not say anything and not play a lot. And the season will go and maybe you fit in as in and out of the lineup guy. But if you go in and talk to the coach and put your, you ask, hey coach, like, why am I not on the power play? He might tell you, well, because I don't think you're good enough. And you have to be willing to hear that. And, sometimes that hurts a bit, but, it's definitely, it's good. Because then you can, decide like, maybe this isn't the right place for me. And like, now I know the coach doesn't think I'm this kind of player, and you can maybe, make a move as opposed to just sitting somewhere and like wasting your time. Or, there's a lot of different benefits that can come out of these discussions. So I encourage players to, work on that. And, if you're a young player and you need, you feel like you deserve more ice time, it's the coach's job to explain to you why you don't play and why you don't. But you have to go in and ask. You can't expect all coaches to, just come out with that information. Some coaches don't want to talk to players. They just want to say, you're in the lineup or not. But if you go and you say, coach, I need to have a meeting, most of the time they're going to give you that opportunity. And if not, then maybe it's something that you can decide that this isn't the right place for me. But it'll definitely help you for sure. I wish I had done it better in the American League level. Like, honestly, when I was in Toronto, I didn't say anything. I sat there in and out of the lineup, and I didn't even know my coach's name. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know anything. Like, I was just like waiting for my name to get called. Like, what am I doing here? And I kind of forgot all the things that I learned sort of because I was in such an intimidating environment. I'm in Toronto. I'm playing with all these guys. Guys are coming and going in the NHL, and I'm like called up from the East Coast League, and I didn't schedule that meeting. I didn't bust down the door and be like, coach, I want to get in the lineup. What can I do? I'll do anything. I'll run through a wall for this team. I really want to be here. Looking back on it, I didn't have this conversation, and I didn't make it, and that was my chance. I was there. I was in the room. Guys are coming and going, NHL. Guys are getting called up to the Maple Leafs. My D partner got called up to the Maple Leafs, like, for the game after we played together. Next day, I'm watching him play for Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And, like, I didn't have that difficult conversation with the coach. I didn't go into his office and say what I just said. I didn't go in and say, like, coach, I'm here. I'm the team guy. Like, I'll do anything for this team. I'll run through a wall for this team. I'll do whatever it takes. You tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it. I didn't do it, and I finished out my season in Toronto, and then I never got called back. That was it. I had one chance at it, and then I thought when I was there, like, oh, I'm here now, like, I'll settle in, and I'm playing in the American League, like, I'll be here, like, this is where I deserve to be right now. But I should have gone in there and like really just been like, this is my one shot, and like, but I didn't, and I have to live with that. Thinking back now that maybe I had an opportunity that was missed, but now I have a chance to talk about it and tell people like this is what I wish I had done. So some players who disagree with this, some players, a lot of guys might say, and even as hockey players, you're kind of taught to, just sit in the room and do what you're told. That's kind of the toe the line. Be the team guy. Like the coach is the boss, and like he decides what's there, and you go out and you play, and then that's pretty much it. So there's definitely going to be people that say maybe that's not the right way of doing it. But just from my personal experience and like how I would be as a coach as well, like if a player were to come up to me and say, "Hey, coach, I want to ask you about my game," I would love to be able to. I would love to sit down and discuss that. Like if you're a good coach, you really care about every aspect of your locker room and of your team, and you really care about your players. The best coaches really care about their players, and if a player has has the courage to come up and say, "Hey, coach, I want to have a meeting and talk about my game or talk about like how I'm doing," any good coach is going to sit down, even if the news isn't great. Like if a kid comes to me and he's not a guy who I think should be on the power play for that team. I'm going to tell him and say, here's why you're not on the power play, and here's what you can work on. If you want to have a chance to be there, or maybe you're not a power play guy, but here's where I think you're valuable, and here's where I think you have value to the team. And so maybe focus on those things. Like I think you're a great penalty killer. I think you're a great stay-at-home defenseman. I think you're a great shutdown winger. Maybe we'll use you. Maybe we'll use you in a shutdown role more, and give you some more ice time so you're part of the team. Because like really, the coach really wants everybody to contribute. You can't win with just a few guys. You need a lot of guys doing a lot of different things. So my advice is to get in there and talk to your coach and find out what your coach really thinks about you, and take your game to the next level. Even my coaches like coming up that I can remember that were real like hard nosed, like not to use it, like tough coaches, guys that really intimidating coaches. Even those guys, like if a player had the courage to go up to that coach and be like, "Hey, coach, like, can I have a minute and talk about my game?" It's tough, honestly. I remember being a player and like as a hockey player, you make a lot of mistakes, and you do your game is not I knew I was a good player, but I knew I wasn't like without errors. I made mistakes on the ice, and like I wasn't a perfect player. So by opening myself up, by going into the coach and being like, "Hey, coach, can I have a minute?" Like you kind of know as a player, like the coach isn't just going to be like, "Yeah, you're awesome, man, you're great." He's going to be like, "No, you stink in this, and you need to work on that." And like coaches are going to be like, and sometimes as a player, you sort of fear that. Like you don't want the coach to be like telling you what you're not great at, because you don't want to hear negative things about your game, maybe. But it's important to maybe get over that and realize that there really aren't any perfect hockey players. Like everybody can improve, everybody can do better, and to know what the coach thinks about you is really valuable to help you to achieve success at the level that you're at and get to the next level. So get comfortable with people telling you that you have deficiencies in certain areas as a player, and you might have to hear some criticism to take your game to where you want it to get. So those are tough conversations. But definitely something that you should explore if you want to, improve as a player and as a person in life. Thanks for tuning in. New videos dropping every week. If you have a question or a topic that you want me to talk about, hit me up in the comment section. And if I pick your comment, I'll give you a shout out in the video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out here, and I really appreciate it. And if you want some more Buttendz content, feel free to follow us at Buttendz on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you on the next video. I don't know, man. Let's talk about something important. Right? So no, we're taking that out. Better to learn now than have somebody like scold me on the internet. Is this guy serious? Is this guy for real?